What is the White House hiding about President Biden's health and the reason for him to drop out of this campaign? We have some shocking new reporting today that we're going to get to on what is really going on. We'll get to all of that part of it in a second. But congratulations to Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is officially the Democratic Party's nominee this morning. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, all of them, even Gavin Newsom throwing their support by Kamala Harris, officially endorsing Kamala. Barack Obama is the only one who's not endorsed her. He's, in fact, calling for an open nomination process, So he's the only one.
Oh,
interesting.
Wait, you mean a fair one where delegates actually vote according to what their representatives want them to?
Exactly. A fair and open.
No, they don't do that.
He's not going to do it.
Wait, doesn't the Democratic primary end on the 22nd, and isn't that usually of August? Isn't that usually when they vote?
You would think so, but no,
that would be 2 days after the deadlines. Because to hit California and a lot of other states, they have to have their nominee by the 20th.
Exactly.
Don't they?
Exactly. Well, you would think so. But in this process, who cares about rules, Phillip?
I mean, nearly a month ahead of that vote, they want it to be a sure thing, which means that your vote doesn't count. Yeah. It doesn't matter. What is the will of a Democratic voter? Who cares?
Doesn't matter. Well, she's now secured the majority of pledged delegates, so you can suck it up. You can suck it up, all you naysayers out there. She's your girl.
You can suck something.
She's now secured the majority of those pledged delegates for the nomination. Remarkable job, not even having to contend with voters. Those pesky voters, you don't even have to deal with them anymore in America, like in a normal democracy. According to the Washington Post, she's been working the phones, calling delegates, asking for their support, and boy, did they give it to her. The head of the DNC today came out saying the Democrats will have an entirely transparent process. So nothing to worry about at all. Everything will be on the up and up. You don't have to worry about anything. She's already working to pick her vice president. The campaign has requested vetting materials for the vice president contenders. Two sources told NBC News this morning. You have North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. The White House press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, interestingly, has mysteriously not held any press conferences. Doesn't want to talk to the press. But she's happy, though, to go talk with The View on ABC and start the PR process on The View this morning, reminding us first that, yes, Biden wrote that letter that you all saw on Twitter the other day. He penned that letter and he shared that letter. Listen.
I'd also say, folks who have not seen the letter that he penned on Sunday and shared and released, you should. I think the letter, if you read it thoroughly, there's no spin to it. There's no spin. No. He truly believed it was the right thing to do in this moment. He truly believed that it was the right thing to do for this country. I'm a little emotional. The right thing to do for this country, the American people, is to give it to someone who is incredibly qualified, right? He said himself, the reason why he picked Vice President Kamala Harris is because he believed that she would be ready to lead from day one. Yeah. And so...
Boy, she picked the right audience, right, to start the PR campaign.
Okay, can I play Peter Doocy? You've been telling us he's totally fine for months and months every time we asked because of all evidence to the contrary. So when did you know that you were lying to us? This is what I would say if I were Peter Doocy, who had been in her press briefings every day for the last 2 years.
Well, that's why she's not holding any press briefings right now. You've been telling us that he's as fit as a fiddle, that the doctors signed off on everything, that he's mentally fit. He runs laps around everyone here in the administration. While everyone else is sleeping, he's up doing the work of the American people. So that's why she's not holding press conferences, but she's happy to go to The View. The polling for Biden versus Trump was really bad, right? Biden versus Trump. Biden was getting his clock cleaned by Trump in the polling. In fact, that was the leading reason we heard the Democrats were pushing Biden out. You simply can't beat Trump, we were told. He can't beat Trump. But a series of new polls out this morning shows that it's even worse for Harris. So maybe Harris should drop out too, if we're going by that same reasoning.
No, is she going to get COVID?
Maybe she'll get COVID. maybe mysteriously vanish and have to pen a letter as well. Trump advisor Jason Miller says not only is President Trump defeating Kamala Harris in battleground states like Pennsylvania, where he's already ahead by 6, but also in Arizona, where he's ahead by 8. Even today, new polling out just a short time ago shows President Trump continues to lead Kamala in New Hampshire, a blue state.
Yeah, I think Congressman Swalwell needs to look at the polling numbers. I mean, not only is President Trump defeating Kamala Harris in battleground states such as Pennsylvania, where he's ahead by 6, or in Arizona, where he's ahead by 8. And by the way, that's according to Democrat pollster PPP. So Congressman Swalwell should look at the polling numbers. But even today, brand new polling showing President Trump continues to lead Kamala Harris in New Hampshire, a very traditionally blue state. There's also new polling out today from Harris showing President Trump up 10 nationally. So Democrats are a bit of jumping out of the frying pan into the fire, and they may have gotten rid of one problem with Joe Biden, but they've inherited a whole new problem with Kamala Harris.
I love Porcupine TV in our chat on YouTube says Biden is coming back stronger than ever. You'll see. I like that. Okay. How he's going to come back stronger than ever.
Can't wait. That would be an October surprise.
That would. Suddenly he's like a cyborg or something. You know, he's come back stronger than ever. I was
just going to say, we're going to get Cyber Biden, so.
Right. Or was it the $6 million man? The $6 million man? Wasn't
Steve Austin.
Steve Austin? Yeah. So Harris's job approval rating is as bad as Biden's. Both scored a dismal 38% approval rating. She did a little better than Biden in younger voters, so maybe that's a glimmer of hope for the campaign. 42% of those between ages 18 and 34 approving of her performance compared to 36% for Biden. Meanwhile, we're learning, though, a lot more about the coup that led to President Biden being forced out of this race. His mysterious COVID diagnosis, what suddenly happened in Las Vegas with the president. Tucker broke down a Charlie Kirk post about this, and I think it was really interesting. So I'm going to play the whole thing. Watch.
This is from Charlie Kirk. I'm reading this cold. I got a weird lead on a story people ought to look into. I got a call from a source close to Las Vegas Metro Police. The official story was that Biden's trip was cut short last week due to COVID. However, according to this source, U.S. Secret Service informed Las Vegas Metro that there was an emergency situation involving Joe Biden and to close necessary streets so that POTUS could be transported immediately to University Medical, which they began to do in earnest. Then mysteriously, there was a stand-down order, and the Secret Service informed local Vegas PD that they were going to medevac POTUS to Johns Hopkins, which they presume meant fly him back east as soon as possible. Apparently, the rumor mill in the police department was that Joe Biden was dying or already dead, possibly. I didn't think too much about this lead. It seemed too wild to be true. But given that Joe Biden has been out of public sight for days and dropped out of the race via an X post, and his brother James indicated health was a factor, I'm beginning to grow more curious if COVID or something else has been more serious than reported. If anyone with Las Vegas Metro has information, please email freedom@charliekirk.com. I want to hear if there's more to the official story than what they're telling us.
Well, I'm sure Las Vegas Metro would be just as open as forthcoming as they were during the during the October shooting.
Yeah, the worst mass shooting in American history,
which is never spoken of again.
They tried to drive me out of a camera position while I was doing a story on it. Yeah, clearly there's something
known for being open and forthcoming.
Yeah, like the city itself. Clearly something is going on here. Obviously, I don't know what it is. I know its hallmark, which is secrecy. Secrecy is the hallmark of lying. So if you want to know, is someone lying? Well, I don't know. Is he hiding something? Well, then he's lying, right? So they're lying.
Now, we now know, according to the New York Post, it was most definitely a Democratic coup, and this confirms what my sources have been telling me. It also confirms Laura Loomer's reporting on this. This was all orchestrated by Barack Obama, and it was planned for weeks. As we had been reporting here on this show, we knew that this was coming, and we talked about, of course, how CNN and the CNN debate was a huge piece of this. We covered this. In fact, the New York Post reporting today, top Dems threatened to forcibly remove Biden from office unless he dropped out, set him up to fail at Trump debate, according to sources. Again, we had reported this a few weeks ago that this was going to happen.
That's not what the presidency is. The president gets to decide.
Well, you would think. You would think, but no, this is a coup. So operatives at the very highest levels of the Democratic Party threatened President Biden with forcibly removing him from office unless he stepped down, sources told the Post. The well-orchestrated palace coup according to the Post, to stop the faltering president from seeking re-election had been in place for weeks. But stubborn Biden fought it every step of the way, a source close to the Biden family told the Post on Monday. According to sources, Hunter and Jill Biden got into a huge shouting match at the White House over this. And the Trump debate was set up to convince Democrats that he couldn't run for president, the source said on Monday. This confirms, again, our reporting here at Redacted that the Trump debate was meant to showcase Biden in total decline. You can rewind the tape on that. CNN was used to carry out this hit on President Biden. Really, CNN was kind of a patsy in all of this, right?
Wait, who do you think that Hunter and Jill were screaming at?
At each other. In a fight over, so the stories and the reports that I'm hearing, Hunter Biden shouting at Jill Biden, Hunter Biden had felt that the officials that were surrounding Biden didn't have his best interests at heart at all. Mm-hmm. So he showed up because he felt like his father was being manipulated.
Okay.
The big guy was being manipulated, and that Jill was sort of going along with it. Anyway, they were getting in a big fight about it, like what was actually going to happen here. The staff was overhearing this and then, of course, leaked this to the press. So the staff, obviously the adversaries here, versus the Biden family on the other side of this. Staff. This is why we don't have staff. Exactly.
Right.
Well, our kids are kind of staff. And
the dog doesn't talk.
We routinely yell at them.
It's interesting, though, in light of the story we're about to do next about Hunter Biden's lawsuit, about why he would not want his father to step down and his ongoing legal problems, why he may not be the most neutral source.
Right.
So, okay.
So according to the sources, Hunter and Jill got into a huge fight, shouting match at the White House. That Trump debate was a setup to convince Democrats that he couldn't run for president, the source said on Monday. Once again, this debate was used for that purpose. This confirms our reporting here at Redacted that the Trump debate was meant to show Biden in total decline. CNN was used to carry out this hit on Biden. They needed that debate, of course, for suddenly all these Democrats to have their come to Jesus moment. Like, holy crap. Wow, he really is in mental decline. Oh, he's in really bad shape. We should really try to probably force him to change or pull out. But Biden was becoming angry about it. I'm not going anywhere. And he knew all along that Obama was pulling the strings, according to these reports. He said this 10 days ago.
What's Joe Biden going to do? Is he going to stay in the race? Is he going to drop out? Here's my answer. I am running, and we're going to win. I'm not going to change that.
And you can tell he's angry about it. So as calls...
But also, I think it's worth noting whether those people who were planted there or not is interesting to think they're rooting for Joe Biden. Their votes would go for Joe Biden. So all those people in the back, the Democratic Party has given a middle finger to.
Yeah, exactly. The voters. So as calls for him to bow out mounted, Biden insisted that he would continue privately. But party bigwigs threatened to invoke the 25th Amendment. Here's the big part of the story. Party bigwigs threatened to invoke the 25th Amendment of the United States Constitution, basically saying he's unfit for office. They would remove him from office by his cabinet. And that's what was confronting President Biden, forcing him to step down from the race or else be removed from office. A coup. No other way to read it. This is an internal coup. So according to the Post, they threatened him with this 25th Amendment. This is not conjecture. Here is a New York Post quote. This one stood out to me the most. This is shocking. Democratic Party insiders have also known for at least 2 years how Biden was in decline, said the source. Quote, when I saw him a couple of years ago, it was frightening, said the source. He was just repeating slogans and had no idea who I was, end quote. So now what? Well, it's been 5 days until anyone has seen President Biden alive. As a result, one of the most Googled phrases over the past 24 hours was Biden dead? Well, this morning, someone looking like President Biden and not looking good at all, stumbling out of a black SUV and getting out of a car before getting on an airplane, hunched over and needing help to get out of an SUV. This guy, whoever this is, didn't look good. Watch.
The pool camera is set up underneath the wing. So let's see if he says anything when he comes out. He says that he's going to, by the way, continue to campaign for Kamala Harris. But you got to wonder, does she want him out there on the campaign trail, or does she want to do this herself? I think back to the 2000 campaign when Bill Clinton wanted to campaign for Al Gore, and Al Gore said, thank you, but no thanks. Here he comes.
you feeling? Mr. President, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? How are you feeling? What? Come talk to us. Come on. How are you feeling since you dropped out of the race, sir? How are you feeling about Harris's campaign? Can Harris beat Trump? Can Harris beat Trump, Mr. President?
He sure looks healthy. He really looks healthy, holding that mask as well and getting up there. According to the White House, Biden will address the nation tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time. This ought to be interesting. So by all accounts, he's not dead. We don't think. Will it be recorded or live? We don't know. We don't know yet because like the last one after the assassination attempt on President Trump, it was a recorded video message that President Biden released. And I think they tried to make it look like it was live. And yesterday during a Kamala Harris campaign rally, Biden called into the rally on the phone. You know, he sounds vivacious on a phone call, but get him like in front of a camera, it's a different story. So this they had to prove that he was still alive. He calls into this campaign rally. First of all, do you believe that this is President Biden calling in? We're going to play it and we'll let you decide. Listen.
Let's listen into President Biden calling into this campaign event.
But this COVID has keep me out of people's hair for the next 3 or 4 days. But I'm going to be on the road, and I'm not going anywhere. It's kept me away a little bit, but you know, I want people to remember that what we have done has been incredible, and we get so much more we're going to get done. And so I want to say hello to Kamala if she can hear me. I know she's going to be speaking shortly. And I want to say to the team, embrace her. She's the best. I want to call today to thank everybody in this effort. I know yesterday's news was surprising and it's hard for you to hear, but it was the right thing to do. I know it's hard because you poured your heart and soul into me to help us win this thing, help me get this nomination, help me win the nomination, and then go on to win the presidency. But you know, you're an amazing team. So what do you guys think? A lot
of you in the chat right now saying that's AI. And a lot of people saying, well, he had some people saying, according to his health, health-related issues here, that it was a stroke. That's why he's slurring his words. Yes, he's always had a stutter, but he doesn't sound like that. So what's going on here? Well, anyway, we don't know. We don't know.
Did you see the video where the dude uploaded it to 11 Labs? He took that audio, he uploaded it to 11 Labs, which is where most of these voices come from, and it said 90% sure that was generated with AI.
I think it said 98% that it was generated with AI. Oh, I thought you said 90%. And then I saw somebody else though uploaded it and said there's like a 20, an 8% or 2% chance that it was fake. So I don't know. Again, you can upload this to AI.
Yeah, those generators are inconsistent. They gave us differing stories about Kate Middleton. Yeah. So that's not something to take to the bank right now.
No, I mean, tomorrow night, a live address to the nation will hopefully help us take that to the bank. We'll see. But what's really going on here behind the scenes? What about J.D. Vance's question about the president finishing out his term? Remember yesterday, of course, we played that audio where the new vice presidential pick for President Trump, J.D. Vance, Senator J.D. Vance, said that if he's not fit to run for the presidency, then he shouldn't be fit to even serve right now. 25th Amendment, if they were going to employ that to remove him and threaten him with it now, shouldn't they do that? And so Corinne Jean-Pierre was asked that very question on The View. Listen to her response.
But now calls have gone further, including vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance saying if he's not up to serving 4 more years, can he serve out the rest of his term? How do you respond to that?
I think that's ridiculous. Seriously.
He's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
Not me. But what I will say is, like, the president decided to not run for re-election. That's it. That's all he decided on. He wants to continue to do the work. 3.5 years of unprecedented historic work. I think that shows what he's capable of doing. I think that shows how important his leadership is.
So he's not dropping out. I'm going to say it right here. You can bookmark it. Mark my words, President Biden will resign the presidency of the United States very soon. He is not going to be president of the United States through January of 2025. Bookmark it.
Okay.
Bookmark it. Okay?
All right. We'll give you a chance to either say mea culpa or I told you so.
Yeah, I mean, or some version of him.
When has Clayton ever been right about that?
That's right.
Right.
Or right about anything in
You
my
have
life.
a high batting average on this. And I mean, I didn't even think he would eventually give up the presidency in the re-election campaign. So we've been saying it over and over again, but I just couldn't see it happening. So
I have right now a dinner bet with I'll just say a former advisor to the president of the United States. We have a dinner bet going on right now. This individual says that he will remain in the presidency. My bet is that he won't. And so I'm looking forward to a delicious steak dinner when I'm correct.
Okay.
Or I'll be buying a steak dinner. We'll see.